of advertising and marketing communication. Most of the things that we are going to discuss this morning, we have had them before, we have discussed them before. Okay, so we'll be moving very quickly so that we can cover a lot of ground. Okay, so when we're talking of marketing communication mix, okay, basically we are talking of all the marketing communication strategies that we can use to promote a product or to promote a service that we are offering. So, in a way, we are saying a company utilizes marketing communication mix in order to promote a particular product, to promote a service, whatever that company is involved into. So, marketing communication mix it involves a lot of elements such as advertising, direct marketing, public relations, publicity, sponsorship, um, exhibitions, things like that. Okay, so all these combined, we call them marketing communication mix. Okay, so remember now, marketing is defined as the management process through which goods and services move from concept to customer. That's your marketing. How you move your the decisions that you make through the process of either producing the goods until that good or that service reach consumer or a customer. That's your marketing. Okay. So marketing, it involves a lot of products and services. It involves pricing, promotion, research, and distribution. Okay. Then now, advertising, as you know now, is the discipline or a function of marketing. So advertising is part of marketing. Okay. And it works with other marketing communication tools in order to achieve marketing goals. Okay. So we are saying advertising is part of, or it's a discipline that you find in marketing, and it works interconnected with other marketing communication tools such as public relations, um, direct marketing, sales promotion, etc., etc. Okay. So the question now becomes, what is marketing communication? Marketing communication there, hence it refers to the management of promotional messages that businesses send to the public through specific channels. So marketing communication, it is a process of promoting your goods through certain channels or platforms. So it is a management of promotional messages. How do we promote our goods? How do we promote our products? So that way that we will choose how to promote our products, it becomes your marketing communication. You are communicating with the target audience, or you're communicating with the potential customers to buy your products. So that way, when you're trying to communicate or to convey a message to your specific target audience, that is your marketing communication. Okay. So for a business to maximize its profit, it needs to successfully manage a number of activities. Okay. So these include product planning, product development, pricing, and promotion. Okay. You need to plan your product. What product are you going to sell? How are we going to develop this product? How are we going to advance it? And of course, your price. How much are we going to charge? This is key. Then promotion, which we are going to focus on. As we are doing advertising, we are going to focus more on promotion. How do you promote your product? Are you going to advertise your product? Are you going to do personal selling? Are you going to do events? Okay. Another important things are as well as the management of wholesalers, retailers, warehousing, and transportation. Okay. Hence, marketing can be defined as a management process that involves the systematic planning, implementation, and control of a mix of business activities. Through the activities, goods and services are moved from concept to the consumer. By the concept, I meaning it starts from an idea that you have. You develop an idea, it becomes a product or a service. Then you develop it, you price it, then you promote that concept until it becomes a product and it reaches the consumer. Okay. So marketing includes four P's, what we call the four P's of marketing mix. Okay, we have your product, your price, your promotion, and place. Like I explained, product, what is it that you're selling? Your price. Determination of price is based on the customer. If the customer is willing to pay the perceived value of whatever that you're selling, then the place, selection of distribution channels to reach the consumer, promotion or communication about the product offering. This is our area where we're going to focus. So on the four P's, we're going to focus mainly on the promotion part. How are you going to promote? So you promote through all the communication that you're going to create and develop and convey all those messages to your uh, targeted audience. Okay. So there are various marketing communication tools. Marketers have several key communication tools available to help them achieve the marketing objectives. So these tools can be used to. So remember, the purpose of marketing communication is to convey a message about a product that you are selling. You are communicating to raise awareness. So number one, drive brand awareness. You are creating awareness about that particular brand that you're communicating about. You're telling the people that we have this. You're making people aware of what you have. Then number two, introduce new product. Key, this is very important. It's one of the fundamentals of marketing communication. You're introducing a new product to the people. You need to communicate that product. How are you going to do it? You're going to advertise. You're going to do personal selling. You're going to do exhibitions. You're going to do events. You're going to public relations, all these things. Then change attitudes or perceptions. It's key again. Marketing communication is meant to change attitudes and perceptions that people have, either against your product or perceptions that people have on your organization. This also can work in terms of social development in societies, in communities, and at nation at large. When we talk about advertisements that encourage people to abstain from sex, encourage people to wash their hands as often as you can. Uh, we're living now during a perilous time that we have COVID-19. We have so many adverts that are telling us to change our attitudes, our perceptions towards the vaccine. Okay, so that's the whole idea of marketing communication, is to change attitudes or perceptions. Stimulate trial purchases. What is a trial purchase? Google, what is a trial purchase?
The trial purchase.
Yes, what is it?
I did. Yeah, I don't know.
Okay. So when you say marketing communication is there to stimulate a trial purchase is basically when you buy a product saying, okay, let me try. I want to see if this particular product work in my favor. Okay. So instead of, maybe let's say, give you an example. Let's say instead of you buying 2 mugs of coffee, then you say, okay, I'll buy one package. I'll see if it works. If it's okay, if it tastes nice, then you're going to try it out. If it works for you, then you come back and buy more. Okay. So marketing communication, it stimulates a trial purchase. You'll be like, okay, let me try it before I buy in quantities, or before I buy in full, or before I buy in bulk. I'll just do a trial purchase.
Oh, that's a test drive.
Yes, just like you test drive, you get in the car, you
Okay,
test it. Okay. Then
I
another
see.
one is encourage brand switching. Encourage brand switching, meaning if you are using a particular brand, when we communicate, we are saying to you, you can change. If you are sticking to Coke Zero, we are saying also you can come and drink this other one. Okay. Then drive sales, of course. The whole idea of advertising, of promoting the product, is to create and maximize profits. So the idea is to drive sales. Okay. So, like I explained before, our 4 Ps that we find in marketing, we're going to focus more on the promotion part. So the promotion part, it leads us to marketing communication mix. How do we promote a product? We promote a product through advertising. We promote a product through personal selling, through public relations, direct marketing, sales promotion. Okay, that's how we promote our products. Now, let's look at advertising. Is one of our key things that we find in marketing communication mix. We start with advertising. Advertising is one of the marketing tools that a company can use in their promotional strategy. Okay. Advertising is an important element of the promotion mix, and it is a process which gives information to the people, to the mass, about a service or a product. And remember, advertising, it is a paid publicity sponsored by the advertiser. It is a persuasion which is controlled and influence the target audience. Okay. So he who is behind an advert, he pays for that so that we can see the advert on our television, so that we can hear the advert on our radio stations. Okay. And it is a persuasion which is controlled and influence the target audience. When they say it is a persuasion that is controlled, it means the advertiser controls what they create or what they convey to us. Okay, so advertisements can be communicated to a larger audience either through a TV, radio, or newspapers. Less targeted than other promotional tools, but they have a wider reach. So advertising usually it targets like a wider audience. It's different from others where they can target a particular group, like your personal selling, it's one-on-one, or when they do direct campaigns through email campaigns, it's one-on-one, it's coming straight to you. Okay. Then remember, non-personal promotional activity, it means it's a one-way communication process. Advertising, it's a one-way communication process. We all hear the adverts on radio. You won't say anything back to the advert, or you can't say anything back to an advert that you see on ETV or on SABC. Okay. It conveys a message through a variety of mass media, newspapers, Facebook, TV, radio. A sponsor is always clearly visible. Okay, this is true. So a sponsor of an advert is he who pays for the advert, is clearly visible. By this they mean you know who is advertising. If it's a particular brand, if it's Coca-Cola, you know this is Coca-Cola. If it is Apple, you know this is Apple. If it is Mercedes-Benz, you know this is Mercedes-Benz. Okay, and it is strategically planned activity. True. Remember when we go back to the how you create an advert, persuasion, writing, creation of copies. So we are saying it's strategically planned. It's not something that is just done overnight. You sit down, you plan creatively, you come up with the concept, you develop it. Then the goal, what's the goal of advertising? Is to persuade a consumer to take a specific action and to ultimately purchase. The goal of advertising is to encourage, to persuade us, to convince us to buy. Okay, so the various marketing communication tools now. So by delivering your message across a variety of platforms or promotional tools, you increase your chances of reaching your target market. Okay, meaning now you don't have to necessarily stick to advertising as your only method of your of reaching your target audience. So that's why we're saying in marketing communication, we don't have one tool, we have tools. Okay. So now we are saying it's important that you utilize all these tools when you're trying to reach your target market. Marketing communication tools can overlap and are often integrated. By this, they mean our tools that we find in marketing communication, these tools that we find, advertising, personal selling, they are interconnected, meaning they work together, they work hand in hand together. You can combine them rather than working solo. So they integrate, they work together, they overlap each other. That's what we are saying. For example, public relation often works along with advertising. Direct marketing is often described as a specific type of advertising. Because when you do direct marketing, when you're targeting someone directly, you're going to advertise. You're telling them about your product or your service. You're advertising. Okay. Personal selling and sponsorships are often closely integrated with advertising. When you do sponsorship, you're also advertising your product. When they sponsor a particular team, let's say in sports, if Nike is sponsoring Kaiser Chiefs, we are going to see Nike uh, jerseys. We're going to see Nike imprinted on the Kaiser Chiefs football jersey. In a way, they are sponsoring Kaiser Chiefs, and at the same time, also they are advertising Nike. Okay. Any questions so far? Any questions? Okay, so now here's a good example of how FNB advertising campaign played a central role in their promotional mix. So there was an ad that FNB came up with in 2011, which was Steve from Beep Bank. Okay, so this one was more of a radio campaign. It was all over radio. It was usually played like every after 30 minutes, you would hear this advert, Steve from Beep Bank, FNB. Every after 30 minutes, you'd hear it. Okay, so now they're saying within the first year of this campaign, FNB sales increased by 40% and continued to rise throughout its duration, earning it the status of one of South Africa's best marketing campaigns. And it is fairly evident that radio was the primary advertising medium employed by FNB marketing campaign. So FNB utilized the radio so much that it helped FNB to increase their sales by 40%. That's the power of promotion, promoting your services or promoting your product. Okay. How was it so successful, this Steve from Beep Bank? It was successful because radio, it reaches a lot of people. And radio is very good at repetition, repeating things, which plays a significant role in creating brand awareness. In radio, you don't need to buy anything. If you just have your cell phone or if you have a radio set, you access radio. And radio, it reaches even even the remotest areas in South Africa. That's why this campaign was so successful. Okay, so now, as I was explaining before, that these marketing communication tools, they integrate, they work together. So the question now becomes, what is integrated marketing? Integrated marketing now is the process of unifying all aspects of marketing communication. Basically, it means integrated marketing. It is a way of putting together all the marketing communication tools, such as advertising, PR, and social media, etc., and using their respective mix of media and channels and tactics to deliver seamless and customer-centric experience. They are saying now, integrated marketing, it is that process that we create a method of bringing together all the marketing communication for the purpose of creating an amazing and awesome customer-centric experience, a message that will be customer-centric, a message that will deliver a correct message to the right target audience. That's your integrated marketing communications. We are using public relations. We create our events, we create our conferences, we do our direct marketing, we do advertising. All this, we combine it so that the message that we are sending, it becomes one. Now, let's look at this video now, 5 benefits to integrated marketing.
Once upon a time, marketing was in a dark age. It was expensive and inefficient. Businesses spent a king's ransom on billboards and banners. Alas, their ads reached the masses, but it was near impossible to target their actual potential customers. And then came the magic of integrated marketing. deep in the forest of an enchanted strip mall, nestled between a bakery and a barbecue stand, worked a wizard. This is Marlon. Marlon owns Comfy Thrones, a local furniture shop. Hey, how you doing? For centuries, Marlon used traditional signs and billboards. But then, he learned the magic of integrated marketing, weaving together multiple media to efficiently achieve the goals of his brand. By talking with the people who visited his store, Marlon gained a great sense of who they were and what they were likely to buy. Marlon was able to match his customers' demographics to cable networks and shows with the same target audience. Let's go, Lancers!
Hey, sports fans, isn't it time you cheered on your favorite jousters in luxury?
Huh, I never knew a throne could do that. Using television advertising, Marlon developed awareness in his target consumer, creating a need where one hadn't existed before. For some customers, the timing wasn't right, yet. Alas, the old treasury is running a bit low. The next time the king checked his fantasy jousting stats online, there was Marlon's ad. And when the king logged into his email, there was Marlon again, always with the same consistent message. Finally, when the king saw a second TV ad that directed him to an instant offer on the Comfy Thrones website, the king went from awareness of Marlon's shop to actively engaged. The king was now on a quest to purchase. Integrated marketing allowed Marlon to be efficient, spending on media that reached his actual target consumer. He reused the same creative content across multiple platforms for a clear and consistent message. He created awareness, reaching the king with multiple impressions across different media platforms. He allowed the king to interact with his product how and when the king wanted. And finally, Marlon was able to track and engage the king at different points in the purchase process. Marlon's use of integrated marketing had worked its magic. The king bragged about his new throne on social media. Positive word of mouth spread. Marlon's business took off. And everyone connected happily ever after. Hey, honey, you want a comfy throne too? I just got a new offer. The beginning.
Okay, so basically in this video, in simple terms, it showed us the importance of integrated marketing. Molly did not advertise using one, he did not promote his product using one particular platform. He created an advert that we saw on TV, where the king saw the advert on TV. The first time he was like, no, just an ad. He went online, he saw the ad again. Okay. Reading the newspaper, he saw the ad again. Went back on TV, he saw the ad again. So Molly's strategy, he used integrated marketing in a sense that Molly's product was all over. To bring it back here, this is how you can use integrated marketing. You advertise on TV, you create ads on social media, you promote that product through direct marketing campaigns, email campaigns, telephone campaigns, you advertise in newspapers, you do sales promotion. That's how integrated marketing works. You don't rely on advertising alone to say, okay, I'm going to promote my product. We're just going to advertise on SABC, then you are done. No. You need to integrate all the marketing communication strategies in order to fully boost your product that you're advertising, the products that you're promoting. So the promotional tool, it become enhanced or better if you utilize all the tools that are found in the marketing communication mix. Do we have any questions there? Yes, Google, what's your question?
My screen is blank now. I'm not sure whether it's my computer or your computer.
I think it's your computer.
Can you play the advert again?
You can't see anything.
No, it's just black. Oh, now I can see you.
Okay, let me come back. I'm sure you can see now.
The 5 benefits of integrated marketing.
Yes, that's where we are.
But there's nothing underneath.
Yeah.
Okay, then yeah, it's okay. Now I can see.
Because it was a video that we were playing.
Okay.
Okay. So
Thank
now,
you.
as I was explaining, integrated marketing communication, as the name says, integrate, meaning bringing all these to connection. It's a correlation of all these marketing communication tools, like the example that we saw of Molly there, and how he actually convinced the king to utilize his product. Okay, you advertise on TV, you create personal selling promotions, you go online, it's there. And I'm sure now you understand this better because you have seen all these things because they're in existence as we speak right now. You would go on Facebook, you see a particular product being advertised. You switch on your TV, you see that particular product that you've browsed through on internet. This is how integrated marketing communication mix works. Okay, it doesn't rely on one particular tool. It relies on all the tools, and you have to utilize all the tools. Okay, now let's watch this video again. Then there are questions that we're going to discuss. Here's another video.
M&M's is an irresistible fun snack, but just how far will people go to find them? Google Street View announced that they were coming to Toronto, and that gave us the idea to put that question to the test. We hijacked Google Street View by placing red M&Ms in windows across the city, hoping that the camera car would capture them. It did. In November 2010, we created Find Red, a first-of-its-kind digital treasure hunt, where we asked Canadians to find the red M&Ms for a chance to win a red smart car. A YouTube video showed how Red got sucked into Google Street View.
Honey, have you seen the M&Ms? I think they're in the bag.
Players were then sent to our site where they could start their search. But Toronto's a pretty big city, and players were definitely not going to find the hidden M&Ms on their own. They needed some clues. Over 4 weeks, players got clues on the website, on Twitter, and Facebook. In the real world, we had QR code wound postings to unlock special clues. We turned package UPC codes into clues through sticky bits, and Red's Foursquare check-ins also led players closer to the hidden locations. We even hid clues in our YouTube video. In the end, the average time spent on the site was over 19 minutes, 4 times the industry average. In just 30 days, we also got 8.4 million PR impressions, over 7 million QR code poster views, and over 225,000 Twitter impressions, adding up to over 15.6 million impressions. And even though this local game could only be won by Canadians, this didn't stop people from playing and talking about it around the world, making M&M's Find Red a success nationally and a game changer internationally.
Okay, that was a good ad. Now let's look at the questions. Okay, so consider the videos that we have watched, the 5 benefits of integrated marketing. Okay, then this also the M&M Find Red campaign. Okay, so the first question is, based on the videos, which elements of the marketing communication mix was used for the campaign? Based on the videos, which elements of marketing communication mix was used for the campaign? Zenzo.
Advertising, direct marketing. No, not direct marketing, but sponsorship. It's advertising and sponsorship, my opinion, and public relations.
Okay, sponsorship explain.
Sponsorship by Google. Google sponsoring Eminem,
Mm-hmm.
and then advertising by them putting it out there like on the websites, so forth.
Mm-hmm.
Then public relations by including the public, because that's what increased sales. So the customers generally feel like they're a part of something, and then that skyrockets the sales because you're actually interacting, and the more you interact, psychologically, you're going to end up wanting to buy the product.
Correct. Mm-hmm. Question number 2. Okay. Provide examples that justify your answer from the M&M campaign video. Okay. So this M&M video that we've watched, what are the examples of the communication mix tools that you have explained? Can you give us examples?
M&M's is an irresistible fun snack, but just how far will people go to find them? Google Street View announced that they were coming to Toronto, and that gave us the idea to put that question to the test. We hijacked Google Street View by placing red M&Ms in windows across the city, hoping that the camera car would capture them. It did. In November 2010, we created Find Red, a first-of-its-kind digital treasure hunt, where we asked Canadians to find the red M&Ms for a chance to win a red smart car.
Okay. What's the first thing here?
M&M's Street View announced that they were coming to Toronto, and that gave us the idea to put that question to the test. We hijacked Google Street View by placing red M&Ms in windows across the city, hoping that the camera car would capture them. It did. In November 2010, we created Find Red, a first-of-its-kind digital treasure hunt, where we asked Canadians to find the red M&Ms for a chance to win a red smart car. A YouTube video.
They asked the Canadians to find red cars in order for them to find an opportunity to win. What is that?
Manipulation, maybe?
Okay. I was thinking competition.
Okay. But they are saying, okay, look at the marketing communication tools. Think of the tools. Where would you put it?
Okay.
So where are you going to put this? Is it
Public relations.
Gentle.
What is it?
Public relations.
Is it public relations?
Yeah, because I mean, it's including the public, right? So that they can all come together and compete for the car, right?
Okay. So if you are saying, if a company comes up with something
And sales promotion.
okay, exactly. That's promotion, isn't it?
Yes.
But they're saying you're gonna win something. Okay. So number one, they used promotion there, sales promotion, isn't it?
Video showing how red got sucked into Google Street View.
Honey, have you seen the M&Ms? I think they're in the day.
Players were then sent to our site where they could start their search. But Toronto's a pretty big city, and players were definitely not going to find the hidden M&Ms on their own. They needed some clues. Over 4 weeks, players got clues on the website, on Twitter, and Facebook. In the real world, we had QR code wild postings to unlock special clues. We turned packaged UPC codes into clues through sticky bits, and Red's Foursquare check-ins also led players closer to the hidden locations.
Again here, if you noticed, they did not rely on one platform. They were using Facebook, they used Twitter, then they also used the created codes within the product that you could scan, isn't it?
So does it also include digital marketing?
Yes, so that basically that's digital marketing. They're asking you, you go online, Facebook, Twitter, then actually when you buy the actual product again, you can scan. So can we also see here that they were using various platforms, isn't it? They were not relying on Facebook or Twitter. Okay, let's continue.
Even hid clues in our YouTube video. In the end, the average time spent on the site was over 9.
Oh, sorry. Now they actually said here the average time that was spent on the surfing of this was 19 minutes, which is probably longer than any advert. Okay, let's just continue.
Mm.
Oh. So they did not rely on one particular promotional tool. Okay. Lesson 19. Okay. So remember, I explained when Google asked the marketing communication mix. Then I said, marketing communication, it involves all the tools that you use to communicate with your customers or potential customers. This could be through advertising, social media, uh, product packaging, direct marketing, websites, events, exhibitions. Okay, so the list goes on, goes on, goes on, goes on, goes on. Okay, so successful campaigns consider all elements of the marketing communication mix. Okay, so this is very key. I don't want you to get confused with it. The communications mix or marketing communication mix, it involves all the tools you use to communicate with your customer or potential customers. Okay. Now, we're going to look at the role of advertising. Before we do that, Zenzo, what's your question?
So why are these PDFs not the same? So
Sorry?
why are the PDFs not the same?
I'm not using a PDF. I'm using a PowerPoint.
Yeah. Yes, but the one that's on Call Campus is a PDF.
Uh-huh.
And it's not the same as what you're using. So where can we get the PowerPoints that you're using?
Oh, do you like mine?
Yeah, I want just for
Okay, because it's a good thing that you're asking.
There's two though.
Okay, so let's continue now. Okay, now we're going to look at the role of advertising. Okay, so what is the purpose of advertising in the marketing communication mix? Okay, so advertising has four main purposes: to attract attention, to inform, to persuade, and to remind. When a product is new to the market, the purpose: attract the target audience attention and to inform them about the new product. The brand message can be informational or educational. That's it. That's the role of advertising in marketing communication mix. To attract attention, to inform, to persuade, and to remind. How are you going to fulfill these four main purposes? You go back to your creation of your advert. You go back to persuasive writing. You go back to how you create your copy. You go back to the method of using the AIDA model. Okay, so once it's been established, advertising can seek out how to differentiate the product from that of its competitors. How is your product different from your competitor? If you're coming up with sneakers, how are your sneakers going to be different from Adidas, from Nike, from Yeezy, from Jordan? Okay, so with advertising, you are going to outline and identify all these differences. Okay. Then also branding now, it aims to establish a significant, which is a very important and differentiated presence in the market that attracts and retain loyal customers. As the market becomes saturated and product sales begin to stabilize, advertising aim is to remind your customers that the product is still available. Okay, so we are saying even when the sales are stabilizing, even when the product is stabilizing, still you advertise. That's why today you see companies still advertise. It's because they are there to remind people that no, we still have this product. Although we are selling 20,000 cars, within 3 months, but still we need more. We still need to remind people that we still have BMW, we still have Mercedes-Benz. Okay, so basically these are the objectives of advertising. You introduce a product, you need to create awareness. You introduce a brand, you acquire customers, awareness creation, differentiation. When you're advertising, you are differentiating your product from any other product because you're going to clarify the benefits, the features of your particular product in relation to your competitor. However, you're not going to name your competitor. Remember the advertising standards, the regulation, the practices, the codes, the ethics. You don't name your competitor, but you are going to advertise in a way that the viewers or the listeners or the readers are going to identify your product in a way that they'll be able to see the difference with the competitor. When an iPhone advertise, you can tell the difference when they are telling you about the features in relation to any other competitor, Samsung or any other phone. You can tell the difference. What are the other objectives? Is positioning, increasing sales, increase profits, create desire, and call to action. Okay. An example, let's go back to that example that I gave you of FNB. Hey, Josie and Steve yourself, the FNB ad. FNB had already established itself in the financial industry. And this advert played the central role in their promotional mix. Yeah, so basically this ad was used to persuade and to remind the target audience about its products and services. The campaign was used to differentiate FNB from other banks by building the FNB brand through persuasion and by creating a relatable character who was memo strong ties to FNB. So now, whenever you say, are you Steve? People, you could tell, okay, are you Steve? Oh, you're talking of FNB. Okay. Whenever you say you just do it, you think of your Nike. So those catchy phrases, those catchy slogans, they are always used in campaigns to create a reminder and to persuade people that we're still in existence. Please utilize our product or our services. Okay, but it is very important now that even sometimes advertisers, they miss the point, they miss the mark, they fail. It's not like every campaign that you're going to do is going to be successful. No, it's not. Some campaign will just be, some campaign will just be so bad that you have to retract, that you have to take them down. How advertisers can miss the mark? How? Because we're saying this is a process that you create strategically, meaning you think corporately, you think creatively, but then how do you miss the mark? How do you fail? Let's watch this advert. Okay, let me start again, sorry, because I can see there is no volume there.
Kendall Jenner just started her first ever Pepsi advert, and it's not going down well. Many people have taken issue with the way that Pepsi has used the language and the imagery of protest movements to sell a can of fizzy drink. But let's break this down. Number one, it compares a celebrity to an actual grassroots protester. The biggest concern seems to be the way that this shot of Kendall Jenner compares with the actual image of Alicia Evans in the Baton Rouge protests last year. One Twitter user sums up this criticism when she writes that the new Pepsi ad evoking imagery of Alicia Evans in Baton Rouge is total exploitative brand social activism BS. Pretty strong words. So the second criticism is that this Pepsi advert completely oversimplifies what protests are about. All over the world, people are protesting against police brutality or against domestic violence or against horrible dictatorships. Sometimes this comes at a great personal risk. Nobody's really taking this literally. But the suggestion in the Pepsi advert that you can resolve some of these issues simply by sharing a can of Pepsi, well, many are finding this offensive. It doesn't really pick a cause. In recent months, brands have gained respect by addressing political issues like immigration or the gender pay gap. If you watch the advert, you're thinking, where in the world are these people and what exactly are they protesting?
This is how advertisers can miss the point. Kendall Jenner, through a Pepsi ad, they created an ad using uh, real life issues, but they turned them into an ad, and this did not go down well with the people. Zenzo, what do you think of this video? What do you think of Pepsi making this type of ad? What are your thoughts?
Immediately I thought of Nando's. You know, then like how Nando's advertises.
Mm-hmm.
And then I was like, okay, there's a correlation between how Nando's tends to refer to issues faced in South Africa and therefore use it and have a humorous approach on it. Well, in this case, hey, I don't know how to feel about the adverts. Honestly, I feel like it's a good advert. Honestly, because they're not directly saying that they're referring to that particular protest that had happened at that exact point in time, and this protest right here is narrowed down by Kylie Jenner giving the police officers Pepsi and then everything's over. So I don't understand honestly, like what's the whole, because they didn't mean to refer to that particular issue. I feel like it's a very interesting ad.
But it was actually because the ad, what it did, it took all the images from the protest, then they recreated those in advertising language. Okay, for instance, here it says it compares a celebrity to an actual grassroots protester. So they just took the protester, then they put Kendall Jenner, then they're advertising Pepsi. So the issue became that they were creating this maybe in a humor way. They're just downplaying the protest that people are actually having about police brutality in the United States, which is a very serious issue. It's a very tense issue in US at this particular time. And I'm sure it came around that time when there were so many protests in US, and it oversimplifies the protests that people were actually having. That's why it created that kind of hostility in, you see here in Zimbabwe, that's 2016 again, people being beaten by police protesting against the government. They took those and they are putting it in a humoristic approach in advertising.
Oh, so it's as if they're undermining the matter.
Exactly.
Okay, then maybe that was my misconception.
Yeah.
Then no, definitely it's wrong because they're using misfortune to their gaining, if I can put it that way. They're using other people's lives and making a whole joke about how Pepsi fixes everything, and yet there's people that have lost their loved ones due to police brutality.
Correct.
And what have you.
Yes. And here now Pepsi then apologized and said, clearly, we missed the mark and we apologize. We did not intend to make light of any serious issue. We are removing the content. So later on, they realized, oh, we missed the point. These protests are real protests. People being killed in Zimbabwe, people being killed in United States. Police brutality is real. So we can't take that and then, just downplay it in a way of just selling a fizzy drink. So people were like, no, come on, you can't do that. So this is how advertisers sometimes can miss the mark. They may try by all means, to create an aid that can have an impact. but sometimes they miss the mark. Sometimes they fail. This is the importance now of understanding when you're creating your ads, you need to work within ethical considerations. Remember? Self-reference criterion. Remember? You need to understand all those things. You can't make, like now, you can't create an ad in US and make funny of police brutality. When George Floyd died, when Brendan Taylor died, you know, and all those other people. The same thing if you go to countries where there are police brutality, if you go to Zimbabwe, people are being killed by the police. You can't go there and create an ad and you are playing down on police brutality. That can create anger amongst the people. Just like here in South Africa, we have also issues. Gender-based violence is rife. You can't create a humoristic approach advert based on gender-based violence. People are going to get angry with you because it's a serious issue where women were being abused. Okay, so this is how sometimes advertisers fail. Okay. Now, there are strengths and there are weaknesses of advertising in marketing communication as a marketing communication tool. What are the strengths of advertising as a marketing communication tool? Number one, low cost per exposure. Advertising can reach masses at a low cost per exposure. Then there's credibility. Consumer perceive advertised products as more legitimate due to the public nature of advertising, which is true. People tend to believe things that they see on TV. Just like when you see a product being advertised on TV, you tend to believe that product. And it reaches a lot of people, a wider audience. Okay, advertising reaches masses of geographically dispersed audiences at a high frequency. You can tune in your radio in the remotest places in South Africa. Think of deep places, rural places. People can access radio, can access maybe television through digital television. So we are saying advertising can reach people regardless of their geographical settings. So that's a strength, that's an advantage. And timing and repetition, by repeating your message at strategic intervals, you increase the likelihood that your target audience will see or hear the message. The more you repeat information, the more likely people are going to believe it. Okay, it works very well in propaganda, it works very well in political communication. Okay, so your timing in advertising and repetition is important. You have to strategically create repetition within strategic intervals. By intervals, they mean what time are you going to advertise? The frequency of your advertisements on TV, on radio. Think of that FNB Steve Beep. It was so successful because of the intervals. It was like every after 30 minutes, that advert was being played on radio channels. And it led FNB to about 40% increase in sales. Then dramatization. Advertising uses audio visuals that have the ability to better connect with an audience. It allows a brand to tell a story, create an emotional connection with the audience. The best advertising puts a human face on a company and its product. Correct. Advertising creates that human connection through an emotional connection. If you remember our three triangles, your ethos, your pathos, and logos. When we say emotional, it creates an advert that makes you feel connected, resonates with you. But however, there are also weaknesses to advertising. Advertising requires large budget, very true. In order for you to be on TV, you have to have money. To produce that advertisement, it costs money. Information overload and advertising clutter, large volumes of advertising that people are exposed to can lead to a brand's target audience to ignore its best efforts of engaging them. Furthermore, it can be boring. So advertising, the more you see it sometimes, the more you'll be like, nah, I'll never utilize this, I'll never use this. Advertising is not as persuasive as direct two-way communication with a salesperson. Very true. Because advertising, when a product is being advertised, you don't have a chance, an opportunity to ask questions. But through salesperson, you can convince a client to buy your product because there's a two-way communication. He asks, you answer, you ask him, you give him guidance, you communicate, you answer all his questions. Sometimes you see adverts, we are left with so many questions, but those questions cannot be answered by advertising. Measuring the success of advertising can prove troublesome, as it is difficult to measure the impact that it has on sales. That is very correct. If you remember, we talked about this. How you measure the success of an advert against your sales is very difficult to connect the two. How then would you say, okay, because we have advertised on TV, our sales have increased? It's very difficult to connect those two to prove that now people are using your product because of TV advert or because of radio adverts. Okay, it's very troublesome to connect the two. Threat of digital dominance. Current trends have resulted in lower advertising budgets in favor of more cost-effective digital platforms. A digital platform refers to a website, software, or hardware. For example, Facebook is a social digital platform. This platform often allows interactive two-way communication. So threat of digital dominance. The coming in of the digital age is a threat because now most people tend to be on the digital side, on your websites, social media, internet. Okay, so these are the weaknesses and the strength of advertising as a marketing communication tool. Now, advertising in the future. Think of your future, how the future is going to be 5 years, 10 years, 20 years from now. The changing media habits of consumers' desires for engagement, which is true. Now, because of the rise of internet has given the opportunity that consumers need to converse, a two-way communication process has to happen. I need to talk to someone. Even now, these days, you've noticed before you buy something, sometimes you get even a phone number, you phone, you check, they explain, or you send an email, or you even chat online. High cost of traditional media, very true. It's very expensive TV, radio, popularity of mobile devices, and therefore the need of mobile optimized marketing content. True. Most people now have cell phones, or not only cell phones, but smartphones, access to internet. So now that means advertisers have to move more into mobile optimized marketing, because now they need to target people. Where are people spending most of their time? So their cell phones. Most people, okay, not most people, but some people, it's hard for them to spend even 4 hours or 3 hours on watching TV, but they can spend the whole day accessing their phones. So advertising has to move. The demand for more differentiated products and services, correct. We are so bombarded these days with so many various multiple products. So there is a need to clearly and to be specific about your product, differentiate your product from the rest. Just think of your normal bread. We have so many different brands of bread. What makes your bread special than the other? What makes your jeans special than the other? The same with sneakers, the same with cars, the same with cell phones. The need for marketing managers to become relevant to their target audience amidst advertising clutter. You guys, you need now to think out of the box, to be creative. The world is ever changing, the dynamic trends are on the move. How you as marketing managers are you going to stay relevant to the target audience? Think of this, the way that people used to advertise just 5 years ago or 10 years back, and the way that we're advertising now to the very same target audience is different. The way they targeted the youth in 1994 is different with the way they were targeting the youths in 2010. It's different with the way they're targeting the youths in 2021. There's a 10-year difference there. Things have changed, trends have changed. Fashion has changed, music has changed. So all these things need to be encompassed, okay? So there's been a shift from one size fits all mentality in terms of advertising to a more strategic use of various communication tools. Two major factors that contribute to the challenges mentioned. Number one, fragmentation of mass markets. What does it mean? Marketers shift from a focus on mass marketing towards a focus on marketing programs designed to build closer and longer lasting relationships with smaller groups of highly targeted consumers. Instead of spending a lot of money trying to target everyone, rather advertisers, they create small budget, create a small group that they can target on. The demographics, this is where it come into play again. Okay, you are fragmenting your mass markets into smaller markets and say, okay, instead of us targeting the whole of South Africa or the whole of South African youths, no, but rather let's say within the youths, let's target them within their specific needs. School kids, university students, those that are just likely that have graduated, that they are just working, starting to work in their mid-20s, early 30s, things like that. Secondly, developments in information and communication technology, allowing marketers to segment markets based on detailed customer information. Okay, to segment, you are creating a group within your markets according to information that you have. So now you create a group, let's say, okay, you're advertising, who are we going to target? Let's target varsity students. But within these varsity students, let's specifically target those that love hip hop, or those that love reggae music, or those that love skateboarding, or those that love soccer, or those that love rugby, so that we can advertise these jerseys. Rather than just say you're advertising your rugby jersey to everybody, even to those that love golf. Large advertisers are now shifting their budgets to more targeted, cost-effective, interactive, and engaging media rather than just advertising. Okay. Now let's move on to public relations. PR is another marketing communication tool. Okay, so public relations is another marketing communication tool, just like advertising. Okay. PR activities are there to promote a positive image of any company, a positive image of any organization. It generates publicity and foster goodwill within the intent of increasing sales. The whole of idea, remember, marketing communication tools are all used to increase sales. That's the main objective of all these tools. Okay, so we are saying PR is there to create a goodwill between the publics and the company, internal and external publics, those that work for the company and those outside the company, the customers, those that they deal with. They are aimed at the public, the stakeholders, your customers, your suppliers, distributors, employees, investors, your press, which is your media and social media networks, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. So what is then the fundamental idea of PR? The key is to establish and nurture key relationships. Okay, you have to produce a good relationship, then you nurture it, you maintain it, you develop it in a good way. That's the essence of public relations. How do you create good relations with your customers? Google, how do you create good relations with your customers?
There are many things that you can do to create good customer relations. First, finding out from your customers how they would like to do business with you, or how they would like their products delivered to them, or anything like that.
Mm-hmm. Yes, you research, you need to understand your people, and always deal with your people with professionalism. Okay, so that means you need to be enthusiastic. There should be that spirit of enthusiasm whenever you're dealing with your public, regardless of the nature of of your business. Okay, what are some of the examples? Generate favorable media coverage, which is important. If the media is always hammering your company, you are going to create problems. So you need to create favorable media coverage. Hosting special events and sponsoring charitable campaigns. That's another way of creating a positive image for your company. Sponsoring schools, sponsoring disabled institutions, then hosting special events, either at your organization or somewhere else. Okay, so it's very important now as public relations to create media relations, because if you're in the newspapers with wrong reasons, it's going to be difficult for you. Okay, that's your public relations. What are the key characteristics of PR? Okay, so unlike advertising, public relations uses unpaid media in order to distribute its message. Some have dubbed it earned media, implying that you have to convince reporters, editors, or bloggers to write a positive story about your brand. That's why we are saying in PR, it is important to have media relations, because we are saying these journalists, if they are writing stories, they should write it in a very favorable, positive way about you. Okay, you don't pay for that, because that's a story in a newspaper. You gain it. That's the difference with advertising. Advertising, you pay for it. PR section appears in the editorial section of a magazine or newspaper or TV station rather than in the paid media. Sometimes you're called for an interview at SABC. Tell us about your business, how you surviving during COVID-19 and things like that. You're building a PR, you're building a public relations, the relationship with your publics, with the public. A company will usually hire public relations in order to manage media relations, organize newsworthy events, and develop content that interests the media. They organize newsworthy events, such as conference, events. If you're having your own event at a company, you invite the media to come. If you're introducing a new product, or if you're opening a new factory, etc., etc. Okay. So what's the difference between PR and advertising? You earn it, public relations is earned. Not expensive, written, need to persuade media, all about the brand. And advertising, you know. Okay. How does public relation work? Pick n Pay. There was one time, it was 2003, there was a guy who was saying, don't buy, it was red meat in Pick n Pay, it's poisonous. Okay. So there was someone who bought canned meat, and it was written poisonous, do not consume it at Pick n Pay. So, so the customer obviously suffered emotional distress. Okay, but it wasn't true that it was poisonous. So Pick n Pay had to do public relations here. So the CEO at that time made a personal visit to that customer and apologized for the incident. And they actually come up with a quick response. They offered money to whoever, 5 million reward for any information that could lead to the arrest of whoever was coming up with these messages. Okay. They come up with press release, news release announcing that no, we put our customers first, things like that. That's how public relations works. So what is the role of public relations, or when would you use this tool? Public relations campaigns are typically used to, number one, announce company news, launch new products, unveil partnership, demonstrate corporate social responsibility, minimize the effect of negative publicity, build a strong brand and good reputation. Demonstrate corporate social responsibility. This is when you are doing your social responsibility. Either, let's say, you're sponsoring a school, you're donating clothes to a homeless shelter, or things like that. These are the things that can build your image as a company. Then you look at the strengths and the weaknesses of public relations. PR offers an economical way in which to quickly distribute information and generate awareness. Unlike advertising, a business or brand cannot control how it will be portrayed by the media when its message will appear. Remember, PR, just like advertising, you can't control how people are going to perceive you. Just in public relations, you can't control what the journalist is going to write about your company. You can't control that. But what are the strengths of PR again? There's credibility and trustworthiness. Public relations has more credibility than advertising, as the source is usually an objective and trusted third party. So PR usually is practical and it happens with right there, rather than advertising where you can dramatize some things, you can exaggerate some things. What are the weaknesses of PR? There is no guaranteed results. A brand may spend time and money on writing a press release, getting suitable photographer, but still things won't work out. Okay, then we move on to publicity. This is an activity that is associated with public relations, publicity. Remember, I said integrated marketing communication, we said they work together, they are interrelated, they are interconnected, they don't work solo, but rather they work as a team. So these tools, they interconnect each other. So in this instance, we're saying publicity works together with public relations. It plays a distinct role in terms of building strong brand and obtaining free media coverage. It's just one aspect of public relations. So it's part of public relations publicity. What is publicity then? It is a process of gaining public visibility for awareness for a product, service, or company via the media. It is that coverage that you get on the media, either on TV or on radio. Okay, then they gave us an example of Red Bull here. There was a guy, this guy, he jumped, some things. This guy jumped over 38,000 meters from the atmosphere there. So this was good publicity. Why was it good publicity? Because a lot of people watched it. It was broadcast in over 50 countries. It had about 52 million views. I remember I watched it as well, making it the most watched live stream in history. So this guy was jumping from the atmosphere there, 38,000 meters, coming back to Earth. And Red Bull, these were Red Bull people. So they were just generating publicity. So imagine 52 million views, over 50 countries watched it. Everybody was talking about Red Bull. That's how you create publicity. Okay. But not all publicity is good publicity. Okay. Online news articles spread quickly through social media, creating a sense of mass hysteria. This example of Tiger Brands projected a loss of 800 million, and it was facing lawsuits of over 425 million. Tiger Brands failed to respond to a rapid crisis that resulted in over 180 deaths. They were saying their meat, Tiger Brands meat, the canned meat, it was poisonous. It was during 2018 when there was Listeria's outbreak. I'm sure you remember this. And Tiger Brands was one of the companies that was affected. They became so famous, but their publicity was not good publicity. It was in bad publicity. Okay. Then there are these videos that I wanted us to watch, but I can see our time is not allowing us to do that now. So we'll continue. Do you have any questions? With everything that we have discussed today, the marketing communication tools, how they are used, how they are interconnected, the fundamentals. Do you have any questions? Anyway, you feel you didn't understand. Anyway, you didn't